it's Janice from Fleurs. Welcome back into my studio. I wanted to finish up start 2025 with a look at some of the organization that I have in my room. If you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, thanks for sticking around. I am going to try to do a little bit better of a job being consistent this year with videos. I've been working a lot more outside of the home, teaching and doing classes and workshops, so it does prevent me from having as much time in my studio and to create content, but I am hoping that in 2025 I can be a little bit more consistent and use my time a little bit more wisely when I am around. So that is my pledge to you. But in the meanwhile, here is a look at how I started with my studio at the end of 2024, and then I've been working the first couple of weeks here in January to reorganize my space. Just for a basic introduction, I work out of a basement. You can see the basement window here. I'm lucky and blessed to have a back corner room in our basement that's just for me to work as a studio. And this is where I create and design all of the patterns, kits, and I write lesson plans and prep for all of the teaching workshops that I do, as well as sew together quilts and blankets and other fiber arts that I sell in my Etsy shop, Fleurs. So that is kind of just a little summary if you're not familiar with it. I do have kitchen cabinets, which I got a few years ago that used to be in our upstairs. We brought them down here, configured them to fit in my space, and then I painted them a color. They were originally wood. It was just a little too dark for down here. And then I do have a couple of storage closets on the other side of the room for larger items, larger bits of fabric, and then all of my stock of stuff that is waiting to sell. So that's kind of the basics. And then here we'll start with the before and sort of watching me work through a little bit. I'll explain that as we go, and then I'll come back here at the end and give you a tour of the fully cleaned up room.
Okay, so to get started, I ended up breaking this into two videos. So we're going to start with the reorganization, and I'll show you a few clips of what I did and explain a little bit at the end in process what I was working on. But you can see it got to being quite the hot mess over the end of November and December whenever I was teaching and preparing for a show. So first, step one is just to kind of go through everything and evaluate what was and was not working. And one thing that wasn't working was the small little cabinet up there on the wall. So my husband was helping me because I tried to break my hand between Christmas and New Year. So that put me out of commission, but he was very kind to help me hang up some new shelving so I could try to reorganize that side of the room and make that work a little bit better. So we had some old shelving that we had taken out of one of my children's rooms, so I was able to have him put that up on the wall. It gave me a little bit more space. He also rehung a thread cupboard for me. So we have this old ammunition box, I believe that's what it used to be, but it fits thread perfectly. So he hung that for me on the one side of the room. And then I was able to go through and reorganize all of my thread spools. And I like to do them sort of in a Roy G. Biv way with the neutrals on the top row, and then I sort them all by color. And it's really nice because the lid here flips up and I can see everything that I have. And that works really, really well, but it also closes so that things don't fall all over the floor. And I just like to do things in color order. That's kind of when I'm looking for something, I know which section to go to. And I had a lot of fun putting them back in their little case. They used to live across in my old studio space. And then for a while, it just sat on the floor, which was very annoying and obviously hard to use. So having them sorted like this works really well. I know a lot of people have pegboard systems for this, but again, it's just I'm repurposing something we already had on hand. And I love using old antiques and repurposed materials in my room when I can. And then it gave me another little space to decorate. You can see I never finished my embroidery journal, so that's something we'll have to address this year. Then on the opposite side of my room, I have these large storage cupboards that I mentioned. So I was putting a few things on top of them, and I cleaned a few things and gave a few things away. Not too many though. I have a couple of patterns that I hope to get into. I did get a dress form for Christmas, so that'll be really fun and a new adventure, something to try. So I was putting things away up here, and you'll see later at the end of the video, we ended up buying a new cupboard because the large one is just not really holding up very well. I probably pack it through full of like way too much stuff. So we found an antique one to replace it, and that'll be coming eventually. Underneath of the cupboards, he ran new electric, so we could move my desk away from the wall, and I had to clean all of that out, but that's where I keep extra batting and foam pieces and interfacing and things like that. I also have one of those little cushy mats to stand on when I'm ironing, and if you don't have one of those, I highly recommend. So much nicer to stand on a mat than on like hard. The floor is just basically concrete, so the mat is so much nicer. And that's just where all of that stuff lives. You can see everything's packed to the gills. No space to spare, but that's just the nature of a craft room, I think, when you're a creative person. And again, it's just nice to even have spots to keep all of my things. Otherwise, I'd have to make so many more choices, and I'm horrible at that. So again, I had a lot of stuff to just simply go through and tidy up. Lots of half-finished projects, things that I had sorted out for projects I completed or I never really got to, and just tons of stuff to go through and make some decisions on putting them away. And, I do just tend to put this off, especially whenever I get really busy. Like I said, teaching. I also had a vendor show that I was doing for the holidays, so I was just in full-on creative mode, and now it's time to like clean up and reset and go through things and make some decisions. So I'm really, really happy. I sorted through all of like my random things, and I was able to move some stuff back and forth across the different sides of the room. Step one is just making it less organized so you can make it more reorganized. But in the end, I'm really, really happy with what I was able to accomplish. So here I'm just back on the other side after I put some other things away, giving everything a really nice fresh wipe down to reset and just, tidy up again. I just can't stress it enough how much better I feel after I clean the area and put things away and just freshen it all up. This is a box where I keep scrapbooking layouts that I've made, or like I like to make base pages when I'm feeling creative, but I don't have that much time. And then I store them in here, and whenever I need to scrapbook, I can pull things out, and I already have some starting points. So it's just a really fun way to use up scraps too. And then I wiped down my little display window. I just like to keep a collection of potted plants up here by the lightest window that actually can have a shelf. I think having a little bit of living things in your space makes all the difference too. I'd like to leave room for some things that are pretty, and they don't all have to be functional. So just trying to keep that in mind. I was lucky by this point that my hand was feeling more useful. I won't say it's 100% even now, as I'm recording this closer to the mid-January. It's just starting to work somewhat. So my goal for this area, which this is one of my exterior basement windows, I always had some little plants and a little art. This is my bookshelf, and now below it I'm gonna have all of my scrapbooking supplies over here. I did have to, still a mess, still a work in progress. I did have to move some of my large cones of thread off of the top of my thread organizer because I couldn't lift the door and prop it open where all of my small spools and some pre-wound bobbins are stored. I did add some additional artwork up there, different little things that just don't have otherwise a home. And I'm really liking that. It's kind of fun. But I did have to move all of that stuff that you saw earlier. And then I think I am going to put my large spools in this section. I don't really use them that often, like the colorful ones. And I'm just think this will be a really good spot. And then I think this is going to probably evolve a bit over time. I really like having the plant here. Love my new clock. I need tissues all the time. I have a little bit of artwork up there and some family photos because, you know, it's just like my office too. And I have like, this is my ironing board area. Right now I have other things out, work in progress. But this is my main, I'm hitting my desk. This is my main working area. So I have like sort of my to-do calendar stuff there. This is mostly where I work on this countertop to spread stuff out when I'm working. So that's why I really want to get it cleaned up. I used to have a huge printer here, a large format printer. So it's nice that's over in my husband's office now. So I have a lot more space right here. I'm going to get a basket or something, some situation for my selfie printer. I have my mailing scale, you know, pencil sharpener and microphone. So that kind of stuff can live over here. I just need to get that like better organized. And I'm happy to have a little bit of extra space right here now to do that next to all my plugs. I will always try to leave this big run open and free because, like I said, that's where I like to work. This is all of my scraps. Currently, this is empty, which is amazing. This has like works in progress, which needs going through, and we'll do that in another video. But I would like to have like these areas for things that I want to work on, so I don't have to leave stuff sitting out all the time, because that's where I get myself in trouble, I think, is that I leave stuff sitting out, like you can, oh my gosh, you can see. And then I just get frustrated and I feel unhappy when I come in here and I just kicked something. And I don't want to work, which, you know, or I just don't want to deal with stuff and I just continuously make messes and have too many drop zones. So I'm going to try to reorganize sort of this area for that stuff. And I'm going to see what I can fit in here in these drawers. I'm going to move a lot of that stuff and consolidate it to this side and move some of these things over here. Hopefully I can get a few, since these drawers are double wide, hopefully I can get a little bit more stuff in there. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these top two drawers. I don't really know how to utilize those the best. I'm really happy overall with my corner back here. This is all like stuffing and foam and batting and that interfacing and that kind of stuff, and that's fine. And that's where the power comes out for my sewing machine. I have to get a new cord to run across and up the desk because we moved the desk away from the wall, which is really nice to have this flow, which I can't believe I didn't have before. I was really used to in my former space just working in a little U back here, but pushing the desk out has made a really big difference. And I'm really liking that. This desk was here when we moved in, and it's like, it owns the house. That's what we say, because it is so huge and it is so heavy. And it is like, I'm not even sure, but it is definitely the owner of the house. It's like this really old desk. It's like indestructible. It's not that pretty anymore, but I do admire and respect it. It doesn't wobble at all whenever I run my sewing machine, even super fast. So that's something I love about it. It's pretty indestructible. We've used it for so many years. It was here, like I said, when we bought the house, and we could not figure out how to get it out of here. So that's kind of why it stayed in my room, and we just slid it around when we put the floor in. And it was always in this corner of the house, which was much dingier and sadder than it is now. I feel very blessed and lucky to have such a nice space, and that's why I'm working to make it even nicer. So here is a preview of the new cabinet coming soon, the day that we purchased it. So it's got a little rehab before it makes it down there. But if you would like to see the completed room, there will be a part 2 room tour coming up, so you can go ahead and check that out. And I hope that you found some inspiration in today's video to get your space redded up for 2025. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe for more. Have a great day.